We all need to work on this. It doesn't matter where you could be number one in your market. You're crushing it in every department. You've got a huge rev share group. You make passive income on investments. You've got whatever you want. But the next level for you is the next level for you. I thought I was maybe muted. It's so great to see all of you today. And today is Core 90 with the community. And we are so excited to have you guys here. This is an awesome session because, listen, we like to make sure that we run through absolutely everything that you need to know in order to be successful in your real estate career. And the truth of the matter is there's a mix. There's a mix of skill set and mindset that comes together, and the nexus of that is called success. In other words, if you have the right skills and then you also pair it with the right mindset, if you don't, by the way, there's a huge miss, and you'll feel like, I know everything I should be doing, and why is none of it working? And it's the answer is take the elevator to the top floor. All right. And so that's what we're doing today. We're taking the elevator to the top floor. We're going to be talking about the mindset of a warrior, and what does that really mean, and how does that's not just some thing that we talk about. Like, what is that really? What's the core of that? And there's so many places that you can go to get this kind of information. I'm honored you guys are here. I believe we're going to cover this and make it super relevant to what you're doing in your career day to day. And these are going to be adjustments that we can make right away. These are adjustments I've made throughout time. I know Lexi and I both live by this. And what's fascinating is when you do this, immediately it starts feeling like the same effort is creating 10 times the amount of reward, right? Who wouldn't like to work slightly less hard, but see better results, right? That's called working smarter, not harder. And today we're going to get a little bit smarter. All right. So I love that. Let me make sure that my screen share is all set up here because I always get freaked out right when I have to do this. And I see a lot of really, really great leaders on this call. Appreciate everyone being here. Awesome day. There we go. Work like a warrior. These are 15 traits for what we're going to call relentless execution. Relentless execution. That means getting it done, y'all. Get her done. So we're going to talk about how to do that and what is it that we can borrow from great leaders throughout time. Marcus Aurelius, Sun Tzu. We're going to go through and we're going to talk to some of the great warriors from all time and learn what it is that's been brought back into the business world. And I'll tell you this, by the way, there are classes on this in Princeton and Harvard. If you go to the law school, if you go to MBA program, if you're learning business strategy, there's actual classes on this warrior mindset and how this actually pencils into being a CEO. Now, let me ask you this. How many people on this call are a CEO? Go ahead and put yes down in the chat or something like that. Yes. Christine is CEO of her business. I love that. Joanne is CEO of her business. I'm going to put yes. Absolutely. Right? Yeah, Barbara Beam. Oh, coming in from Arizona, coming in hot. Liz Boisvert. Yes, absolutely to both. Scott, all caps. Yes, Scott's screaming it at us today. That's good. I love it. So here's what's exciting, guys. If you didn't know it, you just got a huge promotion. You can put it on your business card. In fact, I might advise that you put it on your business card. But I love that, Joanne. Joanne says, wait, the question is, as CEO, should I fire me? Maybe, right? Like maybe that's probably the goal here is to replace ourselves with systems and processes and mindsets that are going to help us to be most successful. So if you didn't know it, today you became CEO of your own life, of your own business, of your own relationships. You get to own it all. And we're going to talk about how to start to adopt that. But also I'm getting specific on every single one of these traits because we're going to cover the trait first and then how to apply it. But on every one of them, we're tying it back to lead generation. And then we're also going to bonus in a couple of agent attraction or recruiting strategies. If you guys are just joining us and you're not with EXP and you don't understand how our brokerage works, we don't hire paid recruiters. We just bring our friends here and the company rewards us when that happens based on production. It's an amazing thing. It's an opportunity for everyone on this call to own their own brokerage, but inside another brokerage. You don't have to have all the liability. So it's great. We're going to talk about that a little bit today too. That's part of the warrior thing, right? All right, so let's jump in. You guys are awesome. I see a lot of smiles on the call today, which makes me happy, right? Warrior doesn't mean angry. It just means present. We're going to talk about all the traits today. So first off, today is for all of our warrior leaders. And by the way, if your identity is not that you're a leader, start to change that. Start to change that. What is a leader? Actually, that's an interesting question. Can somebody define what is a leader? You can unmute if you want to do it. What's a leader? I just need a quick definition of what does that mean? The word leader.
Like an
Someone who shows
influencer? I'm sorry. I'm
So
sorry.
maybe no, don't apologize, guys. So Tara says maybe an influencer. I love that. Joanne, what did you say?
someone who shows the way and invites others to come along.
Someone who shows the way and invites others to come along. And I agree, by the way, with both of those. Someone who has influence is leading, right? That's a form of leadership. And someone who shows other the way, invites them to come along, absolutely. One of my favorite definitions that I heard years back, I would write this down, is a leader is someone who has followers. You can't be a leader by yourself. You don't drop onto a deserted island and it's just you and you're like, I'm the leader. And it's like, it's kind of funny, right? Because there's no one to lead. And so if no one's following you, you're not leading anything. Feels like a fair statement. If anyone disagrees, feel free to disagree, but I don't know how you would, right? What are you leading? If not, maybe yourself. That would be wise, right? So we're going to talk about maybe the stages of leadership as a part of that. And this is a famous quote from Hefe, that's me. That from discipline comes domination. If you really want to dominate your market, if you want to dominate at pretty much anything, you need discipline. And without discipline, you're going to be like the fish that gets caught and then you drop it on the floor of the boat and it's flopping around trying to get back in the water. You're going to be expending a lot of effort for not a lot of result. And you might still get it, right? That's how they say get eaten in North Carolina. I lived there for a little while. You might get it. All right. Today we're going to cover 3 warrior categories, and these behaviors drop into each of these categories. First is the foundation. These are foundational elements of a warrior mindset. Second is the battle. This is the tough stuff. Okay, this is the tough stuff when shrapnel starts hitting you, right? And number 3 is the edge. And I'm going to let you interpret that however you want. Could be the edge of a sword, could be the edge of extinction, it could be the edge of your potential, right? But the edge. We're going to talk about what is that extra edge that gives people who have this type of mindset a benefit above others who don't. Sun Tzu says, and this is interesting, how many people can relate to chaos right now? He said, in the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. Right? In the midst of chaos, there's also opportunity. That's a mindset shift. Have you heard any other agents? It's so hard right now. It's so hard. And I've talked to some people who are like, dude, I hope this market hangs on for a little bit longer like this because this is insane. I can't believe it's like stealing candy from a baby. Same market, 2 different perspectives. Really interesting. So we got to flip our mindset to be able to embrace how to operate in this reality, right? And so we're gonna dig deep on this. Hold on, I'm trying to open up the chat. And by the way, if my other leaders could keep inside the chat for me, make sure we catch everything and are responsive to all of our awesome members of the community. All right. Trait number 1. This is under the foundation. Discipline over motivation. I just realized that some of our photos did not get rotated out today. So you've got cool photos on like the first 2 here, guys. And then it looks like for some reason we have this beautiful picture of a mountain that goes for like slides 3 through the end. So that's ridiculous. But I'm just telling you now, I just noticed it. And I'm like, well, we should have fixed that. But I'm not fixing it now. I can't change it. Sorry, Joanne, stop laughing at me. All right. Discipline over motivation. So check it out. Discipline means that you won't always feel like it. And that is why discipline wins. You won't always feel like it. That's why discipline wins. So here's what I want you to think about. When my competitors, all of them, the other 99%, when they don't feel like it, they give up. When they don't feel like it, they change their strategy. I guess I'll watch some Netflix today. I should give myself a day off. I'm going to take a nap during the middle of the workday. I'm going to whatever, right? When they should be what? Lead generating, doing their business. And even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, right? But guess what? Discipline over motivation. So let's look at this. Motivation is an emotional state. I'm motivated. People are always looking for motivation like it does anything, right? If you want to feel motivated, be disciplined and you will feel motivated as a result of being disciplined. That's the difference. It comes in that order. If you wait for motivation, you're going to be waiting in 2040 and the rest of us will still have, we'll have built great lives because we paid attention today. Number 2, habits outperform hustle. Hustle is a ridiculous, over-exaggerated response. I'm a hustler. Woo! I'm chaos, right? I know people who are like that. I'm going to hustle. I'm at the gym at 1 a.m. I lift weights for 19 hours. And then come on, man. Discipline means not just doing things and doing big things. It means doing the right damn thing. If you're sitting around being busy, hustling really hard, doing a bunch of stupid crap that doesn't make you move forward in your business, guess what? You are a time-wasting, ridiculous person, right? You're like a squirrel on cocaine. You're not really getting much done. And so what we want instead is to be disciplined. The mission simply does not care how you feel, just that you what? Show up. Just that you show up. How many of you feel like you are truly showing up at the highest level in your business right now? Thanks, Joanne. I appreciate the transparency. Me neither, by the way. Joanne says no. I would say no for me, right? Like I'm here trying to talk about this, but guess what? We teach and we learn at the same time. As I see that, I'm like, I could do some work in that department. Holy crap, right? Thank you. Agents. Okay, so how do we start to address this as an agent? We build non-negotiables into our daily schedule, like a soldier reporting to duty. Guess what? If a soldier doesn't show up in the morning, they don't just get like, oh, yeah, it'll be all right. Do better tomorrow, buddy. Here's a trophy for participation. Right? After they run 10 miles and vomit on their shoes, do 10,000 push-ups, then maybe they get to get back in the game. All right? So you need to be that way with yourself. Be hardcore about your schedule, about your obligations at your business. You know, I've heard, I think it might have been in one of Grant Cardone's books where he says it's our duty, honor, and obligation to show up for our families and those who depend on us into our business. That is what we do. That's why we are entrepreneurs. If you wanted a job, it's available. McDonald's is probably hiring like whatever you need, right? So you can go get that and work 8 hours a day for minimum wage and then complain about everything. That's what a lot of people do. Or you can put discipline over motivation. How do we get leads from this? Well, if we use time blocking, at a minimum, I would say 2 hours daily, no exceptions. And by the way, lead generation does not necessarily mean cold calling. We just covered this a couple of weeks ago. Great call with Nolly Williams, right? Did he give us a lot of ideas for taking listings that were outside cold calling? He never cold called and took over 1,000 listings in 10 years, right? That works. So there's other options, but does it still take time and effort and discipline from you, right, to be able to do this? All right, fantastic. Number 2, unbreakable grit. How many people have read the Angela Ducksworth book on this called Grit, by the way? Anybody? If you haven't read that book, you want to read a book that'll get you fired up by a powerful female author, Angela Ducksworth, Grit. Really great book. Talks about why this is the number one trait of people who are the most financially successful, at least in the Western world, is grit. What is grit? Well, when most people stop, warriors keep going, and that's when it happens. I think people don't understand how often they quit at the 1 yard line because it's too hard. Those last 12 inches, baby, right? Just getting it over the line can be the worst part of your whole entire existence. But people who keep going, who don't give up in the face of adversity, that's grit. So grit is the fuel to keep going when results aren't instant, right? We live in an instant gratification society. I go to a website, I say, show me the thing. If it doesn't show me the thing, I'm like, ugh, I hate this site. I'll go somewhere else. Right? I go onto social media, I post a picture of my dog and nobody likes it in 10 seconds and I feel like a failure and everybody hates me and I have a dopamine crash immediately, right? This is the world we live in. It's sad. Every breakthrough is preceded by a very long plateau. In fact, I would argue that breakthroughs happen after what? Breakdowns. Right when you feel like you are hitting rock bottom and maybe a little under rock bottom, we've all been there before, right? Come out with some bruises and some scratches. Maybe you're still bleeding. That's where the breakthroughs happen. But it's your ability to have grit and keep going that makes that a possibility. Most people quit right before the transactions hit. All right. I like that. That rhymes. Agents, listen. All right. So follow up with cold leads like they're warm leads because they will be. When we approach cold leads, somebody who shows up into your ecosystem, even a referral from a friend, that's still a cold lead. You haven't met them before, right? If you approach that person like they're cold, they will be. If you approach them in a friendly, warm, and connected way, they'll stay warm. But also you'll have grit, because what would you do if you call, I see my friend John on here, John Sellers, awesome coach and agent, right? So if I call up John and John doesn't call me back, I mean, I'm not going to be offended, but I'm going to keep calling him until we connect, right? Because he's my buddy, and like, that's what I would do with a friend. It's not a big deal. But how often do we just give up? We don't have grit with a lead simply because we're like, they don't want to hear from me. Don't they? Maybe they're just busy like your friends are, right? Your friends aren't ghosting you either. And then leads, commit to at least a 7-touch, and this is on cold traffic for me, 7-touch follow-up plan and diversify, right? Use something like ManyChat or just your brain and go across SMS, calls, and DMs. DMs are on like social platforms if you can reach them that way. At least go SMS, calls, maybe email. Then you're going to want to drop in another written form of communication. Multi-channel gets people's attention really well, and always reference the other one so that you're being polite. That way you're not just blowing them up on 3 channels. If I send Christine Kites an email, I might send her a text. Hey, Christine, I sent you a quick email. Let me know if you didn't see that, right? And then I call her. If I don't get her there, I'm like, hey, Christine, just leaving you a voicemail. I sent you a text too. I hope I'm not blowing you up too much. Gosh, I sent you an email. I'm curious what you think about that, right? But look at how I've now connected the entire chain of communication, and that is grit. I do that 7 times. That's 21 outreaches, and that person is very likely to get back to me, if nothing else, than to tell me to buzz off, which I'd prefer over not knowing if they're interested, right? That's some warrior mindset stuff. Here's our beautiful mountain picture that we get for the rest of the entire presentation today. All right. Shut up, Joanne. Gosh, always here to give me a hard time, man. Dang it. All right. Emotional control. How many people have trouble with their emotions? I shouldn't say trouble. How many people feel like sometimes their emotions fly off into left field without them? And you're like, oh, dang it, my emotions are way over there and I'm over here and I'm being crazy right now. I do it, by the way, right? So I just want you guys to know that's normal. However, emotional mastery is part of warrior mastery. Let's call it that. And Barbara, yeah, me too, right? Tara, we're human. Exactly. We're human. Human. It means we are emotional creatures. However, what do we know? Feel everything. This is the warrior mindset. This was trained by the Spartan warriors, by the way. Feel everything and react to nothing. There's a difference between a reaction and a response. For anyone who doesn't know that, write down react versus respond. And then circle respond. And then look at the word react and stab yourself in the leg. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Don't do it anymore, right? Don't do it anymore. Reaction is a juvenile response. That's really what it is. It's an uncontrolled emotional response. So your emotions don't dictate your output. Your standards do. If you have a standard, you can live to a standard. An emotion is a wild thing. It's hard to know. What are your emotional standards, however, for yourself? That's going to be different. And in chaos, warriors lead through calm. Now, here's what's interesting. We have to practice what we want to perform, don't we? So if in a moment of true stress, you want to have a high capacity, then in moments of small stress, you can't lose your shit. Does that make sense? And I'm dropping a couple 4 letters here, but I'm just letting you guys know you can't lose it. You can't find your left shoe and you punch a hole in the wall. You have a problem, my friend. That doesn't make you a warrior. That makes you a lunatic, and we need to lock you up. Sorry to tell you. So self-control under stress wins deals. Why? Because you've practiced that. So I would actually recommend that you start getting excited when you're in high stress. I had a ton of stuff to do yesterday. I will let you guys know, right? Lexi and I had about 18 things we're trying to take care of. Some of them are big business deals we're trying to put together. That's awesome. Very excited, right? We've got all that moving parts, people want to communicate. And then yesterday, of course, we had to change about 85 things on our taxes before filing, and we wanted to file yesterday, right on time, and have everything paid. Was it stressful? Heck yeah. Did I end the day with a headache? Yes. Did I lose my emotional calm with anyone yesterday? Nope. Why? Because I made it a priority not to. I wanted to use it as a training event to think, will there be something later in my life that might be even more stressful than this? Can you guys imagine something more stressful than anything you've ever experienced? It's possible to imagine something worse than anything you've ever thought of, right? Don't go there for too long. I got to help you. There's a lot of really terrible stuff, right? Think about the movie Titanic. So like there's bad stuff that can happen to all of us and maybe will. I mean, at the end of the day, you're all going to die. So hopefully not today. But guess what? You're training to be able to have that stress capacity. Agents, we need to stay composed in negotiations and objections because it builds trust both with our clients and also other agents. Are we in the business of building relationships with other agents? You freaking better be. You're trying to get offers accepted by people. You're trying to have a good collegial relationship with your community of agents. And guess what? You're also trying to build your community here at EXP. You don't want agents thinking you're a turd. Preferably, you don't want to be one. And last, for leads, use a calm and curious response to reframe objections into lead opportunities, right? Well, I don't want to pay commission. That's why I'm selling it for sale by owner. Agents are idiots. Oh, yeah? Yeah, I could get really confrontational. Or I could be supportive because I could be the leader. I could be the warrior who's helping someone along and say, listen, I hear you. I hear where you're coming from. You know what we've discovered? XYZ. Here we go. All right, emotional control. It's a good one. Number 4. Oh man, this one hits close to home. Relentless preparation. All right, I'm curious. I'm going to stop my screen share for a second just to break it up. Get to see my ugly face here for a minute. All right, how many of you guys have ever done a dry run of your listing or buyer presentation without a listing client or a buyer client? Either just you or with another agent. Yeah, Scott Gephardt, Christine, I saw that, right? Like a lot of top agents I know John Sellers has because I did one in his office back when I was learning how to be a baby agent way back in the day, right? So I know that this happens, but if you haven't practiced and all of your performances so far have also been practice sessions, you're not getting on stage at Carnegie Hall, all right? Just to change it around a little bit for you in terms of my metaphors today. But I just want you guys to know you're not going to make it into the major leagues if you're never stepping into the batting cages. You have to practice before you perform, or your performance will be your practice session, which means it's going to suck. And if you're wondering why other people get better results, it's because they're not practicing on their leads. So think about that. And guess what? If you've been doing that, okay, look, I should have done that. I could have, don't should have, could have, and should have all over yourself. Don't do that, right? It doesn't matter. The past is done. Complete. Fin. All right, let's keep moving. What do you do now and moving forward? Who are you? Change your identity in a moment, right? Now I practice before I perform. I'm going to a listing appointment. I know that they're going to object because they're for sale by owner about commission. Maybe I should practice the 5 objections I could potentially run into, and I'll say them out loud so I'm not a dumb dummy. Scott Gephardt, what's up, my man?
Hey, I just wanted to say something real quick on that comment. I practice myself obviously a lot, but a couple times, or one time anyway, I got a come list me call, like where I was taking the listing. She's like, come out here and list it. And she liked all the detailed side of things. So I said, hey, do you mind if I give you my full presentation, like the slide deck, the whole deal, because I need to practice it.
Oh, I love
Not
it.
really. I don't think I told her I need to practice it. I created a new one and I kind of want to run through it with somebody, get an opinion. And I did.
Beautiful. How'd she take it?
That's probably the only time I ever had to use it.
That's awesome. But did she take that well? Did she receive that
No,
well?
she loved it. It was like, because it was brutally long and painful to listen to for most people, I'm sure. But she liked the details. It was just like, I literally wrote like a 20-page document that detailed every single part of the process, why I asked the question, what the answer I wanted to get, set it all up. And so I just wanted to kind of like do it with a person that was in that situation. No, she thought it was amazing, but it's not for everybody, pretty much.
It's a beautiful thing. Well, and it goes to this point, right? Relentless preparation. If we consider everything, you either earn or you learn, right? Scott, we've said that before.
Yeah, and it ended up being what it ended up doing, or what it really came down to, is it wasn't so much of a presentation that you were really going to go offer somebody because it was so intense and in depth and all that, but I would make everybody learn that before they could go do a listing. So then they knew it like the back of their head. And it was like I used to tell Mr. Yates, is he's the most scripted person I know, but he said he wasn't, but it's just because it was all in his head. So then they knew the answers, they knew the responses, they knew all the things to say, they knew all of it. And so that was kind of more what it was than anything, but it was set up as a presentation.
Yep. Well, and you see this a lot of times with agents who have been like an agent for 30 years, right? Where they're like, well, maybe I'm not scripted at all. I'm like, I bet you say the same damn thing at every single appointment. There's no way that you're not scripted. You're accidentally scripted though. So what I would say is for those of you who are earlier in your career, you can take 30 years and cram it into 3 months if you want by just practicing scripts for the first 3 months. And once you start to get it under your tongue, right, where it starts to feel normal, it'll just come rattling out. It's like learning a new language, right? Who was it? The Mark Cuban, who says if the guy who masters the vocabulary of any given field ends up as the leader in that field. And I know a lot of us have lived that. It's a really big thing. And so I would recommend that vocabulary. It doesn't just mean words and definitions. Vocabulary is also phrases. It's understanding the natural linguistic patterns. And since you are in sales in real estate, or as I call it, retail real estate, right? That's what we do, is retail real estate. And so guess what? Since you're in retail real estate, you need to learn the language of retail real estate. And there's a language for that. And it's a beautiful thing. It's been well researched and everybody's developed it already. You don't have to even come up with this, but you do need to learn it. Otherwise, you're going to be like, I don't know why I'm not getting the same results. I do. It's because you're not speaking the same language. You're screaming at people in Chinese and everyone in the room speaks English. You seem like a crazy person, but you're not. But nobody's hearing you with the same ears. Okay? So just to put it in some perspective, thanks for that input, Scott. That was really awesome. So warriors train harder than they fight. Reps off the field make you deadly on the field, right? The NFL athletes don't just go run around on a track all day long or a field, right? Catching a ball. They go spend most of their time where? In the gym, getting strong. And that strength, those small repetitions of micromuscular movement or macromuscular movement, make them undefeatable on the battlefield, right? Let's call it that. But if they didn't go to the gym, they'd just be a weenie like me, and then I would get beheaded if I jumped on that field with those guys because they're enormous. Amateurs wing it, professionals rehearse. If you went to see a concert and you could tell that the band hadn't rehearsed, right? You go to see, I don't know, Big and Tall, Guns N' Roses. I don't know who's touring anymore. But you go see somebody, Big and Rich. Sorry, that's it. Big and Tall is a store. Big and Rich. So you go to see them, and the band clearly hasn't seen this. They're all like trying to read sheet music or books. They're fumbling through tracks. Would you want a refund? Of course you would. Are you doing that to your clients? I hope not. Agents, practice your listing and buyer presentations weekly, even when you're booked. I believe in this. Even if your presentation is a non-presentation, understand, go in, practice the mental game of it. Even if it's not out loud, guys, run through this. You're driving 30 minutes somewhere, that's a perfect time. Just turn off the radio and focus for 30 minutes. Don't wreck your car, but make good time. Leads, for lead generation, record and refine your video intros and scripts to increase conversion. By the way, I cannot emphasize this enough. If you're doing face-to-face presentations, record yourself doing a presentation. Video record it. It's uncomfortable. It's going to be cringy. In fact, you're going to hate it. You don't have to show it to anybody, but then watch it back and you will be the most critical person of you. And you'll be like, oh, dang, that's why nobody's signing those listing contracts. Or that's why nobody's signing that buyer contract. I sound like a turd, right? That's all right, but fix it. And number 5, know yourself and the terrain. That's a Sun Tzu quote. What does that mean? It means that self-awareness and market mastery for us are our greatest weapons. If you don't know what's going on and you don't know yourself, you're screwed. Better way to put it. You have to know your strengths and your blind spots. I know too many agents who say, I know, all the time. Guess what? I'm learning constantly. How do you know everything already? And if you know everything already, why aren't you getting top-level results? And if you aren't getting top-level results, it's because you don't know everything already. So until you're number 1, you don't know. Second, study your opponents, your clients, and your local battlefield. By the way, how many of you guys have researched your competition? Dang, man, I did that all the time when I was an agent. I still do it as a growth leader. Does it make a difference? Heck yeah. If you don't know where you stand in the rankings in the MLS, I don't care if you're number 12,001 out of 12,002, right? You better know what number 12,000 did last month, and you better be trying to spank them this month. Climb the ladder, baby. John.
Hey, Jeffrey, I want to bring up that self-awareness and can you go back to the slide still?
Yeah,
There's
you
something I
bet.
want to comment on it
You bet.
so I can see it. But the idea is that we're all growing, and I think the challenge is that, growth is challenging in itself, and we get to certain spots. Maybe we set goals and we get there, and the tendency is to just want to be done. I mean, I've struggled with this a lot, and it's like, but the truth is, happiness is in the struggle. And I don't know. I mean, I have the ability not to do a lot right now, but the truth is, I'm not that happy when I'm not doing anything and not being disciplined for a very long time. It
Totally.
might be nice for a couple weeks, but I would go beyond that. So the idea is to realize that it's just part of life, is that this journey of continuing to grow. And the other is, I love Jeff, study your opponents. I think the big thing is I talk to people and they say, well, I don't know how much I make. I don't worry about money. I just go to work and I do my deal. And I'm going to tell you, there's very few people that get very financially ahead in the long run and take pressure off themselves doing that. And I'm not saying there's not freaks, and it's just like there's people that can be totally unkept and do nothing and they just make lots of money, right? Like there's certain people that God just put that gift on. That's not the majority. The majority of us need to be aware of what's going on. You need to look at your books, understand what your numbers are, put those numbers together. And because I find that might have a season, and we've seen that in the last market, we can have a season where we can make, especially if you didn't make a lot of money before, and then you come in like, oh, I'm making 100 grand. Well, now it's back down to 40, and you're working more hours than you did with a regular job. So the key is I find success, leaders are looking at their numbers. They're seeing what they have to do. They're being accountable about their numbers and how their business gets structured so that they can build some repeatable systems over time.
Absolutely. John, that's incredible. And I love that you're saying leaders know their numbers. It is so true. And I know this is something that you do at a very high level. I remember when we kind of connected at one point, we were comparing notes on our growth trajectory just at EXP as we've been building our business here. And I remember you pulled out your like host of spreadsheets and I had my host of spreadsheets, right? And it was total, it looked nerdy, but it's not nerdy. It's actually, that's leadership, right? People who don't track their numbers are hoping on, I guess, a lottery win.
Well, the idea is to build some form of dissidence. So, I was talking with somebody recently and he's like, it's just, I really used to just like to get stoned at 5 o'clock at night and, just be stoned at 7 for the rest of the night. And, since I quit doing that, all of a sudden I'm thinking about things. And it's kind of frustrating because I'm realizing there's things I'm not getting done and things I needed to get done. And that makes me a little uncomfortable. And I realize that's why a lot of people are on drugs. That's why a lot of us self-medicate at night. Like how many drinks are we going to have because we don't have to think about it. But the challenge is it doesn't help us get where we want to go, because dissidence is what creates that idea that like, okay, I don't want to feel this way. What do I have to do to get there? Who do I have to know? What actions do I have to take? What research do I have to do? Or I can just get stoned or
Right.
drunk or medicate like half America is. I mean, if you guys
Right.
realize the amount of people that are on depression drugs is like 60% of America are self-medicating.
Right.
Some because they need to, some because they're just trying to avoid things. And that natural uncomfortableness is actually what God gave us to know, okay, what's the next step? And how do we get comfortable with knowing that I'm never going to be there? There's always something next. But so you have to get comfortable in that a little bit, but also realize like, okay, what do I need to do? And I can just tell you personally, I've been gone for a couple months. I was pretty just surfing and just kind of dinking around, not doing a whole lot for a couple months. And I got back and it was like, wow, the first week I kind of just dinked around again. And then I started feeling really unhappy because there was no waves. Um, and I'm like, wait a minute. So to me, it was like, okay, Sunday was just, I think it was Friday actually. I was like, okay, I got to put my big list together. And I powered my list of, hey, here's what I need to do in each of my businesses right now. Here's what I need to get done in my personal life. And my wife's like, you are just so obsessive. And I'm like, yeah, because yesterday I started knocking off the list that were things around the house. And all of a sudden I slept well last night because like, oh man, I knocked 2 or 3 things off that list.
Yep.
So that's the things like, so don't be scared of being uncomfortable. It doesn't mean we're bad.
Right.
Doesn't mean we're losers if we haven't guarded getting everything done. But if we quit making ourselves aware of them, we're not going to make progress.
I love that. Yeah, really, really great stuff. Thank you so much, John. It's couldn't agree with you more. And that progress is what will also then give us that motivation, right? That
Well, I think what I'm getting at is we think that when we get to a certain point of, okay, when I've solved my money problems, I'm not going to have a need to be structured. I'm not going to have a need to have to get things done. Well, I don't have to work anymore. But the truth is, when I don't and I'm not getting things done, I actually am less happy.
Right.
And at first it was like, oh, I just can't wait till I don't have to think about anything. Well, the pressure's different, I'm sure. The pressure is different, guys. I don't have the same pressure as I did, but there's still pressure to be accomplishing things and to be feeling part of something.
Completely. I think we all know people who have achieved maybe a level of financial mastery or business mastery that we think is so extraordinary. But when you really dig under the surface, that person's miserable, right? And it's because they're not reaching their potential. Potential is really the chase after your own potential is the thing that I think creates happiness and contentment in most of us. And if you're not doing that, then you're probably out of the game. And being out of the game just feels like being out of the game. You're sitting on the sidelines. It sucks. So good stuff, John.
And
Thank you so much.
The more discipline we get, the more discipline we get.
It's like a ripple, right?
Right. So if you ever notice, like, if you're not worrying about what you eat, the more ice cream I eat, the more ice cream I want. I think like, okay, if I just have a bowl tonight, then I'll be good. No, if I have a bowl tonight, then I really want a bowl tomorrow.
Right.
And then I want more the next night. Right. And it's the same way. So like the more things I'm getting done, the more excited I am about getting done. Now you got to give yourself breaks and you can structure that. But the other is the less disciplined I find, the less disciplined I get.
Yeah. Well, it's like
just to watch a whole day of Netflix.
Right. It's the pursuit of sloth or gluttony or some type of an addictive behavior to something that ultimately isn't benefiting us. Right.
And to realize that none of it, I mean, we're all special in our own way. But the truth is these basic principles, it's if you're feeling bad about certain things, everyone's feeling that way.
Yeah.
Right? Like everyone's feeling these things. It's not like somebody that's farther along the path isn't feeling those things. They're feeling differently now because of where they're at, but they felt those same things and how they had to move through them. Right.
Yeah, it's really, really good stuff. Well, and this is, I think, for everybody who's here, this is exactly why we have trainings like this, is to expose you to this mindset shift. Ultimately, when I'm hanging out with people like John, like Joanne, like so many of the Scott, the great people that I see on here who I know deeply and personally, all of the top leaders that you're exposed to in real estate, whether they're here or on this call or not, the truth of the matter is when I get together with those folks and we talk, most of our conversations are about mindset and how we're traversing through. It's not necessarily strategy. Strategy is basic stuff. How to tie your shoes, you can look up. How to stay motivated to tie your shoes the exact same way every time, 365 days a year when you're an athlete, and it matters to your foot health, which is your entire career. That's a different thing. That's a different level of attention and awareness to detail. That's where it starts. That's where people find that it's like, well, that's just, what could that be? That's maybe 1%. Yes, that 1% makes the 100% difference. Okay, let's keep going. This is really good stuff. And thank you, everybody. It's so fun to have so many amazing people on here to help us. I love this. This is I'm such a fan of the Spartan warriors. I loved learning about their history when I was growing up. And this is a Spartan proverb: sweat more in practice, bleed less in war. Sweat more in practice, bleed less in war. What does that mean? Rehearse really hard. You have to, and by the way, this is mental preparation and rehearsal, and practice, right? Practice if you're into sports, rehearsal if you're into the arts, I guess. But all of it, right? And then when you go to perform, when you are on the battlefield, when you hit the field, that's not the time for practice anymore. It needs to be without thought. It's intuitive. Okay, let's talk about how to produce that in ourselves. Because if you don't find that that's happening for you right now, how do we get there? Well, let's talk about it. It's not that hard. Number one is laser focus. Okay, or number 6 out of our list of 15 here. This is laser focus. In this category, the battle, which is action and execution. You cannot win 10 battles at once. Focus is a weapon, right? The old proverb says, the man who chases 2 rabbits catches none. Right? How many people find that you're trying to catch way too many rabbits? You're going all over the dang place all the time and you're feeling scattered. And there's a reason that you're not reaching the level of success. But have you ever had a time in your life, think backward, have you ever had a time when you were so laser focused on one thing? I don't care what it was. Maybe it was getting that guy or girl to ask you to the dance. Maybe it was, right, getting the car you really wanted. Maybe it was just some little micro success. Doesn't matter what it was, but you were laser focused for a period of time, and every time you got what you wanted when you were that laser focused, right? There's a reason for that. And it's because humans operate at the top level of our ability, at the top level of our, what I like to refer to as our potential, right? What do you think you're truly capable of? Only when we're laser focused. And if you're not, you're all over the place and then it doesn't work. Focus is a superpower in a distracted world. How many people feel like we live in a distracted world? I started seeing heads nod before I finished that sentence. Right? You either feel it personally, like the distraction is always pulling you, right? There's always something. John mentioned, chemical addictions and things like that. That stuff is really, really traumatic for families, for individuals, but it gets worse. How many people know someone who's addicted to their cell phone? You be sitting at dinner with them, they won't even freaking look at you. You just want to grab the back of their head and just slam their face into the table a couple of times and be like, oh, hi, I'm here too. I'm sorry. And now you're bloody, right? It drives me nuts. What is that? That's a distracted world. And for me, if you're a warrior, should you, if you are a warrior, have the discipline to not fall victim to your phone controlling your behavior? If you are a warrior, should you be able to control your mind enough that you don't even need your damn phone? You could leave it at home and drive away and not have a nervous breakdown. I know that sounds weird, but you need to be able to control your phone, not let it control you. That's what I really want to say there. So energy flows where attention goes. You need to control it. And that's a big thing to realize. Wherever you're focused, that's where you're going to get more, right? So if you're focused on how everything's crap right now and nothing seems to be working, then you're going to get even more crap and even more stuff that doesn't work. If you're focused on solutions and finding the way through, finding the path, creating the path if it doesn't exist, guess what you're going to do? You're going to create the path. You're going to find the path. You're going to find a way through. You'll be successful. It'll hurt. It's still going to hurt. Practice at football camp for those NFL athletes, I'm guessing that hurts. Getting some 350-pound free safety taking your head off every 10 minutes, that's going to hurt. I'm learning a little bit here, guys. I'm trying to do better with my sports analogies these days. All right. Reading some stuff.
All right, let me help you on that one. Free safeties are the lightest, almost the lightest guys on the field, right, Scott?
Dang it! All right, I was trying, John. I knew I
Even in
knew
the
something.
NFL, they're rarely over 200 pounds, or
They'd still kill me, buddy.
5 to 210. 350 are the linemen. So
there we go. All right,
it
some
really
lineman
doesn't.
takes your head off. So that's the thing, right? You have to. Could I be a leader in football? No, obviously not. Good example, right? Not laser focused on it. I've been to a lot of games, but I was always a band dork there, so I had other priorities. All right. You cannot win 10 battles at once. That goes without saying, I hope. And agents, eliminate multitasking. If you tell yourself, I'm a great multitasker, no, you're freaking not. You're a great liar to yourself right now when you're saying that. That's what you are. I promise. It's just BS. One thing, then the next thing. That's how it works. And by the way, if you ever get stressed out, the Navy SEALs say just figure out the next one step that doesn't kill you, right? The next one step. If you keep doing that, you'll be fine. So you need to figure out the next one step, not 100 steps, not 6,000 steps. Yes, you need to have a goal, but take one step in that direction and keep going from there. Eliminate multitasking and then work in sprints. Sprints mean I'm going to compress a time for the next 2 days, for the next 3 days, for the next 1 day, for the next 2 hours, whatever it is. I'm going to do X and only X, and I'm going to get Y result. That is power. And then showings, and then admin, right? This is diminishing stuff. Admin means creating a flyer. John.
Jeff, you're getting me motivated on this stuff, so I'm going to keep popping in.
I love it, buddy.
I come back to this thing about blocking time. Mm-hmm. So one of the best ways to do that is to really work in hour or 90-minute intervals.
Yep.
And turn off your phone. Just most agents are doing 1 or 2 deals a month on this call. Some are doing 5, but the majority of agents do 1 or 2 deals a month. Trust me, you can turn your phone off for an hour and a half and the deals won't go away.
Yep.
And if you think they are, that might be part of the problem. But when you can work in 90-minute sprints, and then take 15 minutes break, go for a walk, do the next thing, or return your calls, then block out another. That's a big thing. And it always works because if we go back and say, when do we get the most work done? The day before we go on vacation. Why is that? Because we're just clearly focused. Nothing's getting in the way. And you know, and the other thing that I tell people is we don't think we can turn our phone off for an hour and a half. Funny, like when you go to the doctor, do you turn your phone off for an hour and a half?
Yep.
Yes. And
Get on an airplane.
and the airplane, right? And the world keeps running and your business keeps running. So one of the greatest things you can do for yourself and your business is start not answering calls all day. Our minds, and that's part of where we talk about getting the how to say it, the interrupt driven.
Yeah.
Because we think that, okay, I'm not going to return that call, but I'm going to look at that text.
Mm-hmm.
We look at that text, and if it's not exactly, you know, and then we can create a lot of stories. And I know Joanna and I are like this way. Oh, somebody calls us, and our mind doesn't go like, oh, I think it's going to be a great call. Our mind goes, oh, no, what's going on?
Oh, God.
The client.
It can't be
Never
good.
like, oh, the client's calling to tell me something great. It's usually something, oh, no, what happened? And then my mind starts spinning. So the idea is just to turn it off completely and not look, and then look again when you're done with that item. And what you'll find is you're going to get so much more done, and you're going to compress your results.
Yep.
You're just going to compress your results to get things done. Because usually this idea of looking at your phone all the time, responding, it's just to entertain yourself,
Yep.
to make ourselves feel better. And if
Yep.
we're worried that we're going to lose a client because we don't call them back in an hour, one is we're probably working with the wrong people, we've set the wrong expectations, or we really don't have enough clients.
Yeah. Totally.
It'd be better to be making that hour and a half of prospecting or calling other clients. And again, that hour and a half could be calling clients, right? So
100%.
if we're worried that we don't return a call for an hour and somebody's going to drop us, then we need to be spending more time in that hour and a half finding better clients.
Totally agree. And you know what's also interesting, John, is like I think about this laser focus element, and it works differently for everybody, right? Like you may have to test out a couple of things. Some
Right.
people I think work in like short sprints within the day, and then they have moments of distraction because maybe they're more ADHD and they can go in and out. John and I have a buddy, Rob Flick, who he would, for a while he did, I think it was like 2 months or three months on where he'd be like a maniac 7 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day. And then he would take a full month off. Right. And that was producing great results for him. So you just need to test with things. But what I can tell you is if you don't have periods of undivided attention where you are all in and then periods where you are all out, right? You got to be work hard, play hard, needs to be all like a light switch on and off. And if you don't take some time away, by the way, you won't be able to take the time in. But here's the problem. I think too many agents are too focused on the time that they get to take away. When's my next vacation? Yeah, when's your next work period? Like when's your next sprint? When's your next diligence period? When's your next, whatever you want to call it, like warrior up time frame, where it's going to be, you're going to come out with bloody knuckles because of how hard you just worked and then earn the vacation, right? It's a different mindset.
And it's tough because, you know, we do the core 90 every week. And we're always want to talk about fundamentals of like, how do you prospect? How do you do this? All the technical details. But I could tell you, then this is why I get excited about this stuff. When you master these things that we're talking about, and the truth is, if we really want to help everybody and we just would not get the same attendance, we would have a mindset call every week and we wouldn't worry about the details of how to do real estate. Because
Yep.
when you've got the mindset right, you'll figure it out.
Yep.
Because there's 50 hours of training at EXP. Like you could get it. Like you could go online and get all that stuff. So when the mindset's right, all this other stuff starts appearing. And this is what excites me. I know it doesn't keep our attendance, and some people think it's repetitive. But for me, I have to hear it all the time. Because it's natural to forget. It's natural to fall out of space. It's,
Yes.
you know, and most of the time it's reminding ourselves of what we already know. Sometimes it's a big aha. But even on today, you've probably heard this stuff before and then you forget it. Or we're
Well,
not
that's it.
applying it. So
Well, John, I mean, it's funny. It gets me fired up too, right? Because I think we think very much the same on this stuff. But what's fascinating is, even just in preparing this, I'm going, oh, it was good to see that. Like, hey there, old friend, and I know I'm screwing you up right now, right? Like, I've been messing up this category, that category, and so they do say, by the way, to teach is to learn. And what is a beautiful thing is that I get to revisit this as well. I hope that you guys are taking away what I'm taking away, which is we all need to work on this. It doesn't matter where you could be number one in your market. You're crushing it in every department. You've got a huge rev share group. You make passive income on investments. You've got whatever you want. But the next level for you is the next level for you. And why aren't you there yet? And that's the mindset question that matters. It doesn't matter that you're beating everybody else. What if your potential is 10 times what everybody else is doing and you're only beating them by 10%? That means you are failing, like F- failing in your potential. And that's really the only thing I think any of us should care about is what am I really doing and what is my real potential? I'm going to keep moving, go on to the next slide. This is incredible, guys. And I really appreciate everybody being here. All right. And by the way, use some time. Make 10 outbound calls with 0 interruptions. See how you feel afterward. No interruptions. Everything else is gone. It's hard because you have to use your phone, but you can do it. I believe in you. Adaptability and chaos, right? We talked a little bit about chaos earlier. There's a lot of chaos happening right now. There might be more coming. Markets are crazy. Who's scared? Not me. Interesting. Why not? Well, because whatever happens is whatever happens, guys. How many of you can control what happens in the stock market right now? You, single-handedly. You just wave a magic wand. Tara, can you do it? No. Last I checked, neither can I, right?
I can because whatever I buy goes down. Tell me what you want to have go down and I'll buy it.
I'm gonna have Joanne start shorting a bunch of stocks for me. This will be great. So the big short. But guess what? Adaptability and chaos means when things start changing around on us and things feel chaotic, that we just become adaptable instead of freaked out or fearful or nervous or upset, angry, right? Why isn't it working for me? I don't know. It's not working for anybody, dummy. Look at it's a market. It's not you. Chill out. Plans change. Warriors don't. You need to be firm in who you are. If you've never read the book Siddhartha, by the way, great book, really interesting, kind of a Buddhist stance on the world, but it's a great Hermann Hesse novel from way back when. It's not a religious text. It's just interesting. It's a nonfiction book or a fiction book, excuse me. But it's fascinating. And there's this one moment where Siddhartha is fasting. He's taking a long fast. And this guy comes up and he's like, he offers him a job and he tries to control him and tries to manipulate him with money and all this stuff. And Siddhartha explains to him that he's fasting. And the guy's like, what value is there in that? And he said, fasting teaches me how to not say yes to something that I think that I want. Fasting teaches me that I can say no to working with you because I don't want to, and I can simply deprive myself of that. I can fast through it. Some of us need to work on that part of ourselves. Deprivation is a strength, right? When things feel chaotic, maybe you need to start saying no to something. Maybe your finances go upside down and those 18 subscriptions to 18 different services you have aren't really serving you at the highest level. Hulu and Netflix aren't paying the bills anymore, turns out. You don't work for them, so maybe, be thoughtful about that. Conditions change, the mission doesn't. You have to know your goal in order to hit it, right? You cannot hit a bullseye on a target that you can't see. Rigidity breaks and adaptability bends and strikes. So you need to be able to be flexible, and that's power in motion. All right, so as an agent, what do? We shift quickly when deals stall, change the offer, the terms, the plan, right? One of my favorite expressions on this is it's either my price and your terms or your price and my terms. We've got price and terms to talk about. And it's fun to do that, right? Because everyone's got to give something to get something. I love that. Or when another agent does this, I don't get angry at agents. I don't scream at agents on the phone. If you're screaming at agents, shame on you. Slap yourself on the hand and never do that again. That's rude. Don't be rude. Your mama taught you better. All right? You can do better than that. Be better. Be the leader. Leaders don't scream. They don't lose it. They lead the call. Leads. When you are lead generating, test different messages, times, and platforms until one hits. And this requires a lot of adaptability because guess what? Things are changing right now. Is AI changing the game for agents? Of course it is. Is it going to change it more in the next 6 months than it has in the last 10 years? Uh-huh. Is that chaos and change and all the things that we freak out about? Yep. Can you just be adaptable and instead of getting stressed and freaked out, you say, interesting. It's the same changing battlefield for everyone. And if I can compete better than they can, this is my moment where I can shoot to number one. If you want to do a moonshot, wait for the world to change and then ride the wave, baby, instead of being afraid of the wave, right? Ever seen those surfer videos with those guys on like 50-foot waves? That stuff freaks me out, man. Geez Louise, how are they doing that, right? Test different stuff, see what works. All right, this next one is called strategic patience. And by the way, thank you for being patient with me today. If you are hanging in until the end of this call, here's what's interesting. The people who stay to the end of this call, it's going to be obvious who goes out and applies this because your success is going to skyrocket. Jeff not telling me where the hidden listing leads are. Yeah, there are no hidden listing leads, dumbass. Welcome to the big show. If you learn how to do this stuff, you can control your own fate and create a predictable business. It's not a lottery ticket, guys. It's called a real estate license. You still have to go find the business. And that's what we're here to tell you is that the mindset behind this is actually how you win. Strategies may change, but strategies are going to change with time, right? We were just talking about AI. That's going to change strategy, but the mindset doesn't change. The mindset is I'll be adaptable. A rock comes in front of me. How can I use this rock? That's interesting. Maybe I can push it down this hill here and kill all my enemies with it. I don't know. But I'm not looking at that rock as an obstacle. I'm looking at it as a tool or as an obstacle for everyone else. How can I make sure that all of them can't get past the rock and I can, right? Something like that. Patience is precision and delay. And delay is not denial. It's positioning. Not every battle is worth fighting for. How many of you guys have ever had an agent who calls you up and says some dumb crap and you engage? And then later you're like, dang it, I shouldn't have engaged. That was stupid. They baited me into an argument. It wasn't even worth the argument. There was no outcome I really cared about, and I argued with them anyway. That's stupid. Or you did it with your spouse, right? I've done that one about 850 million times, like a real idiot. And then right afterward, you go, come on, man. Could do that better, right? Is that a mindset? Yes, of course, it's a mindset that needs to be adjusted. It's not a skill set. We all know how to shut our mouths and not engage. We just don't do it sometimes. That's the mind, not the behavior. Agents, what do? Coach our clients to wait for better timing instead of forcing bad outcomes. Does that require patience, by the way? Sometimes you look at a listing and you're like, honestly, we should wait a month. Let's get this thing together. But you don't want to do that, right? Because why? You're fearful. So get the signed listing now. Put the date on it to go live in a month or so. Whenever it's going to be ready, get it signed today. With that timing period, it's different for every state. Check with your state brokers, right? But in some states, you can have a fairly indefinite, I think some states like 6 to 12 months. You can have a signed listing agreement that'll go live later. So you can lock up the business now, but delay to empower your client to fix some things that need to be fixed or clean some things or get out of the house if that's what their plan is. Don't rush the game and force a bad outcome. And leads, time your circle prospecting. This one is a big thing around new listings or price drops for maximum effect. Understanding market timing is a strength. That's a superpower. All right. Speed and precision. This is a big Sun Tzu concept. He says, be first, be sharp, and be right. Be first, be sharp, right? Like your blade, and be right. Speed amplifies impact, but only if it's accurate. Interesting. If you are speedy right now about integrating AI into your business, you will beat the market there. In 5 years, 99% of everybody will be using it. Right now, I would give it in the low teens, maybe. And probably single digits if we talk about really excellent use. Will that be a superpower over the next 6 to 12 months? Yes, absolutely, undoubtedly. And if the market shifts, it will amplify that result, by the way. Delay costs deals. Delay costs deals. Think about that, guys. If you delay on making a decision, has that ever cost you something? I don't know what to do. I listed with someone else. Dang it. Don't delay. When's the best time to do something? I don't know. Yesterday. When's the next best time? Right freaking now. You know what needs to be done. You're just not doing it. I've heard John Sellers say that one a million times. All right. And then swiftness wins when paired with clarity. You need clarity first, but then you need to be really, really fast. And sometimes I tell agents this, right? I've got a lot of my friends on here who are high C's, right? High C means that you want things to be right. I have a lot of high C in my disc, right? I used to lie to myself. I took the disc a bunch of times and I had like a 0 on the C. It's very funny. And then I took it honestly, but stopped lying to myself and trying to get the score that I was looking to get, right? Ace the test. And instead, guess what? I'm a very high C. I'm more of a chief operations officer than I am a chief executive officer. That's good. I don't care. I just care what my paycheck looks like. Too many people are worried about their title. You should be worried about your bank account. All right, guess what? Speed. So compete for speed. If you're a high C, that was what I was going to say. If you're a high C, compete for speed. Start thinking, how fast can I do this task instead of how well, and you won't get stuck in your own way anymore. How fast can I do this task? Oh, I need to send 100 emails to these people, but I want them all to be individualized. Great. How fast can I do this? I need to call 10 past clients today. How fast can I do this? Speed wins games. Okay, awesome. And set up instant response automations, things that are going to save you time, by the way. That's where I'm going with this down here, video and Calendly. Be first to respond to inbound leads with clear next steps. Here's what we're going to do. It's one of my very favorite scripts. Or here's what comes next. Or the good news is we can do this next. Or there's a million ways to say that. But not, are you okay if I send you a document and then maybe I can follow up on Thursday? Nope, I'm not. Here's what we're going to do next. I'll follow up on Thursday. Read this in the meantime. Thanks so much. Excited to work with you. I didn't say I was working with you. Yeah, you did. All right, here we go. The impediment is the way. That's a Marcus Aurelius quote. If you don't know what an impediment is, it's an insert you put in your shoe. No, I'm just kidding. An impediment is something that's in your way. It's like a blockage, right? Like a boulder in the road. Obstacles aren't roadblocks. They're roadmaps. Obstacles aren't roadblocks, you guys. They're roadmaps. How many people have ever run into an obstacle and felt like you needed to quit? Oh, I can't do this. This is terrible. Yeah, me too, John. Hell yeah. And guess what? Resistance equals growth. John just said that earlier, right? You have to have that dissonance, that something that's a rub. You have to have that friction in order to grow, right? What's interesting, by the way, we're studying, not we, but humanity is studying plants now and realizing that plants that are exposed to harsh conditions, drought, severe wind, even a fire near them, maybe they burn down and then their roots survive and they grow back. Those plants are like 10 times hardier. And if you actually look at their genetic structure, they're more resistant to disease, illness, friction, fire, all the things in the future. Maybe not fire, but all the other things. If you want a drought-resistant crop, expose it to drought. If you want a drought-resistant real estate agent, expose it to drought. Interesting. Same deal. We're just plants. We're just mammals, baby. We're just animals, right? We want to think that we're all fancy. We're not fancy. The problem is the opportunity. Stop seeing problems, start seeing opportunities. My bank account's empty. Does that seem like a problem? Yeah. Is it an opportunity? Well, you have to think resourcefully. You can't go spending money, but here's the thing. You can train yourself right now to learn how to build a big business without money. I know too many agents who make $1 million a year and they exit the year with almost zero because they spent all million making $1 million. The easiest way to make $1 million is to spend $1 million. Is also the dumbest way to make $1 million. It's a lot of work for no return. If you're filing and your adjusted gross income on your taxes is zero, well, I mean, first off, well done, probably because you're tax harvesting or something. I don't know, tax loss harvesting. But if it's zero because you spent all the money, like a dumb dummy, don't do that. So what do? We use rejection or tough markets as the training ground, not a wall. We say you earn or you learn. That's it. There's no third option. You're either earning or you're learning. And if you're learning, good, be grateful for that. And if you're earning, good, be grateful for that. Is there a third option? No. So it's grateful versus grateful. It's gratitude versus gratitude. Your whole life should be about gratitude. And if it's not, you're missing the game. That's the whole game. And this is a game. And if you can't play it without just stressing out and freaking out, like I said earlier, McDonald's is hiring. Leads. Create real talk content that addresses common fears that clients have. Do not be afraid to lean into the resistance. A client says, I don't want to pay commission. And I say, yeah, no one does. But let's talk about why they do it. Even the most sophisticated investors keep coming back to me and using me time and time and time again. Why? When all they care, by the way, they are blood-sucking vampires and all they care about is their bottom line. Why are they coming back to me time and time again and paying my commission? Because it's worth more to them than it what? Costs. That's why. And if they know it, and this is all they do for a living all day long and twice on Sunday, they're making millions of dollars selling hundreds of houses a year, shouldn't you? Would that script work to overcome that? I leaned in. I acknowledged their fear. I instead, in fact, said everyone feels that way. Instead of being like, no, don't have an objection. Ah! That's what immature weenies do. All right. And we're moving into our last category. Holy moly, I got to move, baby. Woo! All right. Stretching for a second. Hey, everyone, do me a big favor. Take a huge deep breath and give a little bit of fuel to your brain. Fresh oxygen, man, that feels great. Holy moly, I forget every once in a while. And then I take a slurp of water and I take some air. My brain turns back on. I feel pretty good. This next one requires reading skills and comprehension ability. So we're going to read it twice. Marcus Aurelius says, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. So this is similar to the last quote, but what's interesting here is that the impediment to action actually advances you. If you understand this, you can start moving forward in business. I love Marcus Aurelius, always have been a big admirer. And what I will say is he understood that challenge is the thing that creates champions, period. End of story. There's not a champion that's ever existed that didn't experience challenge. The Rocky movies would have been really stupid if he just had no challenges at all and then just kind of boxed. He's just knocking everybody out all the way to the top. And then the movie ended after like 5 minutes. And he's like, yeah, man, that was easy, right? It's not a very good movie. It's also not a hero. And he's not doing anything impressive. And he wouldn't have made any money. And the movie wouldn't have made any money for sure, right? The impediment to action advances your action. If you understand it correctly. Let's talk about how to do that, though. This section is called the edge. And this is about mastery and advantage. How do we gain advantage over our competitors, right? Without all the black hat stuff. Crush them, man. Well, maybe. We'll talk about that too. That's fine. Not the only way, though. Courage in uncertainty. Does anyone feel a little bit uncertain right now about where the world's going? What's going to happen in the economy? Right? Yeah, me too, man. Is that great? I don't know. Is it terrible? I don't know. Does it matter if it's good or bad? No. Too many people trying to qualify it. That's dumb stuff. Everyone can qualify it. And by the way, if you're looking backward and talking about how things used to be, that's easy level analysis. Look forward and talk about how things are going to be. Good luck with that. That requires bravery and courage, by the way, in uncertainty. When people look forward, they're called leaders. People who look backward are called losers, right? And the reason I say that is because I know a lot of people who do one of two things. Everything used to be so much easier. I just wish things were the way that they used to be. Wah, victim, blah, blah, don't care. Or people who are like, I used to be so great. That's interesting. What happened, dude? Don't used to. The only thing that matters is today and tomorrow. All right? Yesterday's already done. It's not that you can't learn from your past. You should, right? And adapt and move forward. But you need to have courage and uncertainty. Okay, you don't need confidence in order to act. You need action to build it. To build what? Confidence. Action builds confidence, guys. Would a baby be confident walking if they never walked? Sounds like a dumb question. Shouldn't be one. That's a pretty obvious question. Babies would never learn how to walk if they never walked. And yet so many people are like, well, I just want to be good at it. Great. How much practice are you doing? None. Awesome. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You got to try. Bravery is action, not the absence of fear. Everyone feels fear. I feel fear all the time. All the time. All the time. I have to overcome it. It's part of the mindset game. That's what we're doing today. We're talking about being a warrior. How do you create that courageous and brave mindset? What is bravery, right? Feeling the fear and doing it anyway. No path worth walking comes fully lit. I love that one. Sorry, hard to say apparently, but no path worth walking. Good Lord, that is really hard to say. No path worth walking. That's the hard part. Comes fully lit. Anyway. Meaning you're going to go through dark patches where you are uncertain. You can't see if there's a hole in the road or a bramble you're going to walk through or a rose bush that's going to poke you right in the eye. But warriors move anyway. So agents, what do? Take bold action even when unsure. I don't know how to make a video. Doesn't matter. Send a video. You'll figure it out. If I paid you $1 million to send a video to one of your clients in the next 30 seconds, every single one of you'd be like, hey, buddy, how you doing? Like a weirdo, right? You'd do it. Because the reward would be instant. But this is not an instant reward world. We already talked about that. And warriors don't care. Do it, and the rewards shall come to you later, son. All right. Take bold action. And then leads. For lead gen, this one's fun. Get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Launch a new campaign or a platform like YouTube Shorts or TikTok, even if it's imperfect, right? I've been admiring Craig and Kelly McHugh. They started a new podcast. They didn't know what the heck they were doing, man. Right? But what do? They're out in Colorado. They said, well, we're just going to figure it out. I was at their house a couple weeks ago. They've built now this beautiful studio. They got all this cool lighting gear. They're figuring it out. Does it all work the way they want? Nah, not yet. Does it look perfect? No, not yet. Is it better than not doing it? Obviously. So this is where you start learning. You learn by doing. All right, let's keep going. So you got to have bravery and courage to jump into something you're not currently doing. Deceptive strategy. This is a Sun Tzu quote. Strength is often quiet. Let others underestimate you. Woo. How many people do you know who talk a big game and then they talk a big game and there's a lot of talking going on? Talkity talk, talkity talk. They're talking about how great they are from like 14th place or 144th place or 3,144th place. It's like, well, the opportunity is in learning and self-actualization. That's the opportunity. We're all here today, so that's great. You guys are actually committed to the right thing. Especially those of you who stick around. Stick around. All right. Let others see what you want them to see. This is a competitive strategy. How many people overshare? Where are my high eyes on this call? Right? My overshares. Let me tell you all the cool stuff I'm doing. Yeah, don't do that. Don't tell everybody all the cool stuff you're doing. Do cool stuff, roll it out, destroy your competition. They'll see what you did. I'm building this amazing AI thing and you guys should, no. Build it, deploy it, win the game, be done. Right? Stop worrying about what everyone thinks. Start worrying about what you get paid. Period. End of story. Too many people worry too much about how people think about them. Doesn't matter. Why are you all up in other people's brain? Their brain does not matter to your outcome. It certainly doesn't matter to your net worth. So, number 2, strategy wins before your strength is shown. You can look polite. Politeness might be seen as weakness by some people. You could be seen as slow. Slowness might be seen as weakness. Slowness might be poise. But positioning is always silent leverage. And I love this. You might want to spend some time on this slide. Come back to this idea and think about where this plays out in your business. If you're going after for sale by owners, this applies directly. If you're going after expires, this applies directly. If you're going after your sphere of influence and your past clients, this applies directly. But it always applies. It always applies. And it means you have to have an awareness of what other people are doing. This means know your competition. If you know your enemy, you can know yourself. And if you know yourself, you'll definitely be able to best your enemy, but you can't do any of this if you don't think about what your enemy is also seeing in you, and you get to control that. So think about that very, very, very carefully. Okay? I say your enemy, warrior day, guys. All right. So agents, what do? Use exclusivity and scarcity in marketing to create urgency. This is used a ton in luxury positioning. Right? We call that an application interview. We don't work with everyone. Let's walk through what we do and what you're looking for, and let's just see if you're a good fit for our program. It's a great script. Also, basically is telling them that they need to apply to work with me. Interesting. That's a very different scenario than please list with me. Oh God. Right? Which is not as great. Doesn't seem quite as strong. Leads. Run coming soon campaigns to build curiosity and early interest. I like this, right? Different for every market. You need to check with your brokers to make sure that the way that you're doing this is correct. But coming soon and pre-marketing early interest, great way to build what do you call that? Interest around a property. Really exciting way to build early access lists. Let us know. We've got a 3-bed, 2-bath, $375,000 coming on the market next week. Send me your email and I will send you the details as soon as they're publicly available. Did I disclose anything that I can't disclose? Nope, I didn't. Did I create a bunch of leads without even having the listing yet? Live. Yes. Awesome. Wow. Is that possible? Yes. Is it legal? Most places, I would assume. Check with your state broker. I'm not your mommy or your daddy. All right. Victory mindset. Now, this one for me is really powerful. These last 3 are really heavy hitters. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. If you were to say, I am 10 times in a row and complete it, I am strong. I am fearless. I am courageous. I am, right? Or I am tired. I'm beat up. I'm exhausted. I'm failing. Which of those identity statements are more empowering for us? What's interesting is that our goals don't determine our outcomes, our identity does. And if your identity isn't as someone who will achieve that goal, then you will not achieve that goal. You have to become the person who can achieve that goal. And you might be going, Jeff, that sounds too woo-woo, right? Well, wrap your head around it. Sorry, sweetheart. That's what we're doing today. And this is actually how this works. You got to do it this way. It's the only way it works. All right. Warriors show up to win, not try. This is another way to think about this. Trying is great, but we don't give out participation trophies. And we certainly don't give out participation paychecks. You get paid for outcomes, not attempts. Does that mean that you shouldn't make attempts? Of course you should make attempts until you get an outcome. And refine as you go along the path. Identity shapes your output, though. So if I am the person who can achieve this outcome, I'm more likely to achieve the outcome than just trying to do the outcome. And if I say to myself, I am an Olympic athlete, what do Olympic athletes do? I will instantly change my behavior. I am not, by the way, and I do not act like one. But if I am a business warrior, if I am the CEO of my own empire, what does that person do? And now start to refine your behaviors to match that identity. It becomes easy to know what to do. Well, so many people, what do I do? Change who you are. The new person will know exactly what to do. You are your best coach. And then lastly, expectation becomes reality. If you expect to win, you are more likely by a long shot. It's like something like 7 times more likely to win. There's a unique shaping of identity factors, by the way, that goes with people who achieve 7 infinite figures returns in their life. People with higher net worth, people who make more money than you, right? And the difference is that there's an expectation of success. It's why would I be doing this if I wasn't going to win? Of course I'm going to win. You're wondering if you're going to win, perhaps. Change that. Become the person who knows that they're going to win. The question is just, how do I get around these obstacles? Who do I need? I like that John brought up the who, not how, right? This is incredible. So for agents, walk into every client conversation with the mindset that you are the best choice. That's not about ego. That's about confidence. It's about awareness. It's about personal awareness. People who know that they're the best choice don't need to be cocky. This is an interesting difference, by the way. It's not about cockiness. It's about confidence that I can actually help this human being, right? If I happen to be a heart surgeon and I'm on a, airplane and somebody has a heart attack, I'm pretty dang confident that of everyone on this plane, I can probably help them the best, right? Does that mean I'm going to win every time? No. But does it mean that I know that I know that I know? That's how Joe Yates always says it. And I like that. Walk into every client combo that way. Leads. For lead gen, use video to pre-frame yourself as the local expert before the appointment. By the way, I believe in this. I see more and more people doing this now, and I think it is powerful as hell. Use video to advance yourself. Your video could be corporate. It's okay. It doesn't even have to be personal. I think personal probably delivers a higher result. Hi, Joanne. I'm excited to meet with you. I wanted to cover a couple things before we meet. X, Y, Z. Thanks so much. Looking forward to our meeting. Bye. Click, right? Send. Don't edit. You guys all want to edit. You said doing your fart instead of doing your part. Doesn't matter. Send it anyway. They'll laugh. In fact, if you know that you said it, send a quick text message and be like, I just watched this back. LOL. Looking forward to meeting with you. And then the little gas emoji. All right. 2 more, guys. Loyalty to the tribe. And here we are. The community, right? This is awesome. It's not just about your tribe here with the community, which I love, or EXP, right? Loyalty is a great characteristic, and it's also an identity. Loyalty is an interesting thing, guys. We all approach this differently, but what I know to be true is that the mission is personal, but it's never solo. People don't win by themselves. Does that make sense? They win as a team. Anyone who you know who has achieved ginormous results that you're jealous of did that with help. How did they do all that? They didn't. That's the answer. They created a we, and that we went and did it together. Warriors fight harder when they fight for others. You need to be fighting for something. Could be part of your why. It could be you build a team. It could be you generate a revenue share organization and you work together with them to fight for their success. Right? It's what we're doing right now. It's awesome. This wouldn't exist if it weren't for RevShare at EXP. This is awesome. It's why this is here, guys. I hope you know that. Trust is earned in battle, but not in words. How many people have ever said, right? Talk is cheap. Your actions show me how you really feel. We all hate that one. It can feel uncomfortable, especially if you know you've violated that for another person. So that's why we should strive our whole life, right? This is about virtue. Warriors have virtues that they live to. One of those virtues is loyalty. One of them is integrity. And integrity simply means that my actions speak louder than my words. In fact, I don't even need words for you to know what my virtues are. Brotherhood builds unbreakable commitment. And this is true. Or sisterhood, guys. Come on. We're neutral around here, I guess. And then next, agents. All right, agents. We are going to build a team culture rooted in performance and mutual respect. It means we love and care for each other. No matter who the other person is, how they act, what they believe in, doesn't matter. But it also means that you can build a team this way. When you start to build a culture, an identity around how you do business, not just what you do or how much business you do, how you do business matters to people. And in fact, they'll rally behind that faster than they'll rally behind the fact that you did more deals than them. Just 1 second. I'm having a slow internet. Are you guys hearing me still, hopefully? Rock and roll. And then lastly, use your results to attract agents who want to grow with you. Now, then results can speak very loudly, but what's interesting for me is a result could also be how I did this business. You know, not only am I proud that we did whatever it is, 50 deals last year, 10 deals last year, 12 deals last year, $2 million in transactions, right? Whatever it is, pick a number. You could say we, by the way, pick the community. We closed over $2 billion in transactions last year. Hey, that'll do. You can use that number when talking to people. There's a result. You can borrow it as your own. But not only am I proud of that, I'm proud of the culture that we've built around it. We're not just trying to build successful people. What we're trying to build is great people who are also successful. Good human beings who are good to have on the earth. Those are few and far between these days. And last but certainly not least, win without fighting. Interesting, Sun Tzu. Thanks for this one. Win without fighting. What does that mean? It means power is being so strong that no one dares to compete with you. When you get strong enough, or let me be serious here, when the perception of your strength is large enough, people will back down from the fight. How many people are so strong in their market that you've had another agent back out of a competitive listing opportunity simply because they didn't want to have to go back to back with you? That's a good feeling. That means that other person is scared. They don't want to do the deal. They don't want to compete. That's as it should be. So power is just being so strong that no one dares to compete. Well, how do we achieve this, Jeff? Well, the highest level of power is influence, and influence starts inside your mind. It's not about being an influencer on social media, guys. That's fake influence. That's BS influence. Right? Real influence means influencing the actions of others, influencing the mindset, shaping the future of other people in a collaborative and supportive way, in my opinion. So avoid battle by being too strong to challenge, right? Strength, by the way, is not muscles. Strength doesn't mean being intimidating. Strength could mean surety. Strength could mean I don't move when you push me. Right? How many people have ever had an agent call you up and say, you should this, and they tell you how you should do your job? I love those calls, right? Okay. Well, thanks for calling. Anything else? No? All right. Well, thanks so much. No, we're going to do this other thing. Take care. Have a good day. That's your surety. It's just being in your own space and not being pushed around by other people or by what other people think. How many people do that? Too many. And let them come to you. This is a really big one. Let your competitors come to you. Let leads come to you. Create a reverse cold calling system in your business, right? You want people calling inbound. How can you do that? Be thoughtful. We talked about it a lot last week, right? Great session last week with Scott Gephardt talking about how to create reverse cold calling. Get people to call you to come to your business. so that you create market awareness of strength, and then people want to work with you. Agents, what do? Create so much value online that you become the obvious choice. People are using different tools for this now. Some people use funnels. Some people use YouTube. Some people use direct marketing with email. Some people use ManyChat and they hit them on 5 different channels. Some people use in LinkedIn. Some people, which one's right, Jeff? Whichever one you use and really focus on and actually build a system around. But if you don't use it and you chase 10 rabbits, how many of those rabbits are you going to catch? None, right? We know that. And then, so you got to create that. And then recruiting, right? This is if you're building your team or you're building your organization within EXP to help bring agents here so they can have a better business, being part of the #1 brokerage on earth 4 years in a row, get some. All right, that's a real stat, real trends, not me. Okay, that's not an opinion, guys. It's a fact. Recruiting, build authority content so that agents reach out to you. What is authority content? Well, we're making some right now. That's authority content. What else could be authority content? I don't know. Speak to other agents in your market. Do a session on something that you've gotten great at, right? Well, maybe I should go get good at YouTube. Yeah, you should. And then you should show other agents how to do it because that's authority. And the second you build that authority content, they're going to want to be closer to you. Maybe I should learn how to kill it on LinkedIn, like this agent I saw over here. Awesome. If that's your thing and you like it, then that's good. Devote time to it. It's not going on there to engage with the platform. It's going on there to use it as a what? Sword. Okay. Thank you guys so much for this today. I love this content. And my hope and my goal for today is that you have things that you can walk away with. At least one of those 15 has to have resonated with you. I know a few of them did with me today where I went, ugh, gulp. I got to get back into this, man. This is good stuff, right? So what I'm going to do really, really fast, just because I love doing this. I love hitting what we've covered today. All right. So discipline over motivation. We hit unbreakable grit. Remember grit, the Angela Duckworth book. Go get that. Emotional control, which is feeling everything and not reacting, responding versus reacting. Relentless preparation. This is a big one. We got to prepare if we want to win. Know yourself in the terrain. You got to know you before you are going to know how to act. Laser focus. You can't win 10 battles, right? Adaptability in chaos. Don't change just because the landscape does. Be staid, be confident. Strategic patience. Be willing to wait for great results. It's okay. Not everything happens overnight. Speed and precision, right? Actually, back on this one, I love on strategic patience. I've heard the quote a lot of times. It takes 10 years to create an overnight success. You guys have probably heard that one, right? Speed and precision, you be first, be sharp, and be right. You got to go fast. And if you're my high C's on the call, right, this is your breakaway strategy. For high C's, always just compete for how fast can I go? Stop worrying about every little mistake. Go faster, go faster, go faster. You're going to do better work than most people anyway. So just compete for speed, right? If you're not a high C, don't do that. The impediment is the way, right? If you run into an obstacle, that's an opportunity, not an obstacle. Keep moving. Courage in uncertainty. We're in uncertain times. Be courageous, be brave, and develop an identity that wraps around that. Then you'll get into action immediately. Deceptive strategy. This is being willing to not show all of your cards to all of your competitors all the dang time, guys. Some people talk too much and show too much and share too much. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't show and talk and share, but if you got something going down, maybe just do it and stop talking so much. Next, victory mindset. You have to have the mindset of a victor. You have to already know you're going to win. It's an expectation. It becomes a reality. Loyalty to the tribe. The mission is personal, but never solo. You have to be accompanied by others who are going to help you in this journey. And lastly, what did we cover today? Win without fighting. When possible, by the way, you don't need to fight. You just need strength, confidence, stayity, and to be big enough to not move when everything moves around you. Okay, thank you guys so much for being here. This is a great day. I really appreciate it. I'm always honored to be a part of the community and everything that we've got going on. And we will see you guys next week. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.